Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. Today, we are talking about supplements, and maybe they're not working so well for you, right? So, if you're using supplements right now, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you're using supplements for your pet's care, because today we're going to be talking about why they're not working and what are some of the things that you need to know in order to make sure you're not wasting money on those supplements. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I'm the founder and holistic veterinarian of the Natural Pet Doctor, and I'm on a mission to make sure that you, as the amazing pet parent that you are, feel empowered, supported, and confident that you are doing everything possible to help your pets live their best and most healthy lives. So today, we're going to touch on supplements. And I would love to know, first off, whether or not you have a supplement graveyard. Do you guys understand when I say like supplement graveyard? So what I mean is you open that cabinet and all of a sudden you've got all these supplements sitting there. You're ordering more, you're trying different things, you're hoping that next supplement works. I've been there. I've been through that journey, and it can be really hard to break out of that cycle and that path of being like, well, if this didn't work, I didn't see a result right away, I have to try the next supplement. And then all of a sudden we go down the rabbit hole and we're looking at the next supplement. We're hearing about another vet talk about this, where our friend Mary's talking about how this supplement fixed her pet's allergies, leaky gut, itchiness. And we're suddenly buying all these supplements, trying all these different things, and we don't know why something's not working or if something was working. And next thing we know, we're spending $500 a month on supplements, and then we're putting them in the cabinet, and it's that supplement graveyard. Super frustrating, right? And it can get really, really, really expensive when we are just relying on that hope protocol where we're, essentially taking spaghetti, throwing it at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And so this is why today I'm going to offer a different perspective for you, where we're not necessarily just looking at the symptoms and picking a supplement based on the symptoms. We're going to be asking better questions. And this is something that I teach the pet parents in my lifetime like mentorship blueprint program, where we need to take the step back. We need to look at our pets, and maybe you're dealing with allergies, ear infections, itchiness, or GI issues. They're sensitive, where you change their diet and you see diarrhea, or you're going back and forth to the vet clinic for same problem, or I love that word, by the way, hopium, hoping something's working and just relying on hope. But you're going back and forth to the vet clinic and you're not getting the results. You're either getting a drug or another supplement to try, and let's just see what happens, right? There's always this kind of like, let's just wait and see. Maybe it'll work, maybe not. But we need to take that step back, because what's happening for so many pet parents, and this may be similar for what you're going through, is where we're kind of missing the forest for the trees, right? The trees are those symptoms. So whether it's the itchiness, the ear infection, the diarrhea, the reactivity, your pet's hypersensitive to something. And we haven't asked the better question of, why did this occur? What happened that led to this symptom? And this is where pet parents, veterinarians, I've been there before I realized the bigger picture and how everything is interconnected. And this is why when I stumbled upon the holistic approach years ago, when my husband developed autoimmune disease, and I had a huge wake-up call that the conventional medicine system is a little bit flawed and broken, right? Because it's focusing on reactive versus proactive medicine, and asking that better question of, well, why did the body decide to break? I always say we don't wake up one day and all of a sudden our body's deciding to kill itself, right? That's not how it happens. There is a progression of disease. And when I talk to pet parents, this happened this week actually, and this is what prompted me to do this talk today on our coffee talk with the doc, is I was talking to someone, and it was about, I just kept hearing like, well, what do we use? Like, what supplement do I need to use because the liver values are elevated? And I'm like, wait a second. Wait, we just jumped like 5 light years ahead. We need to take 5 steps back, pull back the brakes a little bit. It's not about the next supplement. It's about, why is your pet's liver values elevated? Why did that occur in the first place? If you're continuing to give something, whether it's food, treats, stress, there's a toxin in the environment, and you're using or relying on giving, say, like milk thistle to fix the problem, and we haven't identified the thing that needs to be removed first, I guarantee you may see some results, especially for treating liver disease, right? You may see some results, but as soon as you stop that, if you didn't remove or fix the root cause for why those liver values went up, the problem will come back. So you keep going back and forth to the vet clinic for the exact same issues, and you're not resolving anything. You're just spending all this money on supplements and vet visits, and you're not getting anywhere. It may feel like you're taking 3 steps forward, but then all of a sudden things fall apart weeks later. Your pet's worse off because we didn't address that root imbalance and look at how is the body interconnected and where did those things go wrong. And so this call was very eye-opening because I hear it all the time is, what do I use? What do I take? What do we do? And I want you to take a step back and ask, okay, well, why am I asking this question? Why is my pet showing symptoms? And this comes down to looking for those root imbalances. So if you're new here, you may not have heard me talk about these foundations. If you've returned, you've heard me talk about these foundations, and they are essentially like the foundation of a house. If you were to try to build a house on, say, a marshland, right? The ground is unstable, the house is sinking. What's going to happen over time? We're going to see a crack appear in the wall. And a lot of people go, well, why, okay, there's a crack. What do we need to do? We need to fill it in with like some plaster, and then we can just paint over it. Okay. So we do that. And then what happens? Maybe a month later, there's a crack on the other side of the wall. And we're like, why is there another crack? Well, this doesn't make sense. Okay, we'll just get the plaster, we'll fill it in, we'll paint over it, right? But we didn't take a step back and look at the bigger picture and ask the better question of, why are the walls keep cracking? Okay, let's think about, okay, if the house is sitting on not a solid ground, there's going to be an unstable foundation, and it's going to continue to crack unless we solidify that foundation of the house. So this analogy is exactly the same as your pets, where if we're only relying on supplements to fill in gaps and we haven't assessed those foundations of health, so your physical health, your gut health, nutrition, your immune health, your emotional health, and the environmental health for your pets, no matter what supplement you decide on, if we haven't addressed the bigger picture for our pets, things will continue to fall apart. We'll see a crack appear that could be like increased itchiness. We might see them get softer stool, diarrhea. They might be gassy. We might see an ear infection come back and then go away and then come back. And usually what happens over time, just like in the house, the foundation isn't solid, things will get worse. The more cracks that appear, the more problems or symptoms that start appearing show us that we have a major issue. So I want to ask you guys, like, who here drives with a check engine light on? Check engine light is indicating there's something off under the hood, right? And we can either choose to ignore it and continue down the road, or we can take it to, someone, a mechanic, to do some diagnostics on it and truly see like what's going on. Because if we continue to push, and we haven't addressed that root issue, we're going to have an issue with the engine potentially blowing up. Now the entire car is wrecked. And this is where I see problems build up. And all of a sudden, now we have a diagnosis of things like autoimmune disease, cancer, inflammatory bowel disease. We have a thing where we see a gallbladder mucosal form. We see hepatitis. All of these issues that could have been prevented if we looked at what do those symptoms mean, take a step back and ask those better questions of where in the foundation am I missing something? It's not an easier question. It's a harder question. So I'm going to challenge you this Friday to take that broader approach. Start critically thinking about your pets and their health. And then that's where those supplements can come in. So if you're feeding foods that are going to create inflammation, so like processed diets, kibble, if we're feeding like supplements even that have things like titanium dioxide as a preservative, we know that it affects gene expression, creates inflammation genetically. We don't want to do that. That can lead to things down the road like cancer, chronic inflammation, which is the root of all these chronic illnesses. We need to take that step. Now, I was with a client yesterday and brand new puppy. God bless her. She's the best. I love working with her because she listens to what I say, which is great, and she takes action. And here's the thing, her new puppy started having symptoms of like a runny nose, runny eyes. Could have easily just said like this is like kennel cough, right? Took the dog to the vet, did the right thing, get them checked out. And she asked for a CBC. So this is to look at like white blood cells, red blood cells. She was like, I just want to make sure, like, I want to see what the white blood cells are doing. And the vet didn't recommend that. They said, let's just treat it like an infection and then let's wait and see what happens, right? It's literally the words, which is common, right? Who here has been or heard that? Oh, we'll just wait and see. Let's just wait and see if those liver values come down, right? Well, with my client, because she asked, because she took a proactive approach and asked for those additional diagnostics, she uncovered that her puppy is anemic and things are off. And looked at it yesterday. We're 2 days after getting those test results. And I said, we need to do more testing. We need to do a biochemistry. We need to do a urinalysis. We need to make sure that there's not something more going on. They checked a stool sample, which was good for like, I was like hookworms, but the stool's solid, came back negative. And I said, what was the next step? The next step was to use an antibiotic and see what happens after 2 weeks. If we have a kidney issue, if we have a bone marrow issue, if we have a like leukemia issue that's going on, I don't want to wait 2 weeks. That dog could be dead. And there's so many tools in the toolbox from a holistic approach where we can start implementing and using herbs that can help balance whatever's going on and support the body. We don't need to wait 2 weeks because what's going to happen? If you're like me, right? I'm sure a lot of people are like this. Your pet's sick. Now we've got this red flag. We got the check engine light is like blaring, right? Maybe the horn's going off too with this like anemic puppy. And if you were to just wait and see for 2 weeks, how would that make you feel? Like, drop it in the comments. Like, how would you feel watching your pet, watching an issue there? And you're like, is something else going on? But the vet said I should just wait and see, and then we'll recheck. I said, what are you going to do, Susie? She's an amazing client. I said, you're going to just worry. You're going to stress. And once again, we're going to weaken that foundation because emotional health is a huge pillar. So not only are we going to create more stress for the pet parent, the dog's going to feel the stress. We already have an immune system issue going on. Now we're going to stress the body even more when there's something else. I said, no, make an appointment tomorrow. Get those tests and 100%. I left from the appointment. She booked the call. Like she said, I need to bring him in. I want to test these tomorrow. I want to know what's going on. I was like, do in-house testing if you can, so we don't have to wait all weekend for the test results. That way we can create a plan. We can get a better idea if we need to do additional diagnostics. That's so much better. It's so much more empowering to know that you're taking action to find out what's truly wrong rather than hoping an antibiotic is treating anemia, which it doesn't. So an antibiotic is being used to treat the symptom of the runny nose. So this is why this is so important, and not to just rely on a supplement. I said, "Hey, there's all sorts of supplements I could use. I could use astragalus, an herbal medicine that will help boost the immune system, help fight a possible infection." So, but I still want to know what's going on internally, because if it's not an infection, we need to better understand where those things are off. And this applies to every single person here, even for, let's say, preventing disease. So, who here wants to prevent disease? You got a healthy pet, like dog, cat. You're like, I want to do this. I want to make sure we're good. Like 100%. This is really, really important. Like, healthy pet. Because what I find happens with our healthy pets is that we start reading things, which is great. Continue to do your research, be open, question everything. Questions are great. I love when clients question me, because I'm like, you're thinking critically about what I'm saying or what you're reading and how it applies to your pets. We should be open to questions. That is key. That is key to science progressing, is questioning the standards, questioning if we can do better, questioning if this is the right course of action. And with our healthy pets, I find a lot of times we end up adding so many different things. And we had to go back to the foundations, and we had to look at, well, have I truly optimized the nutrition first? This past week, I did an amazing interview with Billy Hokeman from Green Juju. If you didn't see it, you can go back to the replay. It's on our Facebook page. We're going to be posting it on our YouTube page. So if you're not currently following us right now, make sure you hit that like button, follow us, and subscribe to us so you get notified when we post new videos. Because Billy talked about how a lot of times we don't need to add omega-3s. We were talking about healthy fats and how to utilize the power of food as medicine, to heal our pets and to reduce the amount of supplements that we need. Because here's the thing, there's a lot of great supplement companies, but there's also a lot of poor quality supplements out there because it's not a very well regulated industry. And there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of money things involved, like anything in the world, right? Pet food, anything, human side, medicine, pharmaceuticals don't like the natural world because we can show you how to heal the body without using drugs. So there's not a lot of power in me telling you to eat your broccoli, right? They're not going to make money from that. So this is why it's so important to question things, especially when things are being pushed at you with potential underlying agendas. Just from a general perspective on the pet side and on the human side, we have to go back to food. And if you haven't optimized your food, your pet's food, your dogs and your cats, and we're still feeding processed diets, I would much rather 1,000% have you spend the money on your pet's nutrition and optimizing that versus dumping it all into the supplements and potentially creating a supplement graveyard. Really, really important. So this is where, if there's a problem or a health concern, make sure that you're optimizing that first. Make sure you're removing toxins, inflammatory foods first, because that alone may be enough to reduce, say, like an elevated liver value for that potential client that I was talking to the other day. They're still using flea and tick preventatives. I'm like, well, those are neurotoxins. So that right there could be the cause of the elevated liver value. Are you using sprays, herbicides? Are you supporting those detox pathways? Are you supporting all the phases of detoxification? And if you're like, there's phases of detox, I thought we just use milk thistle. That's what we talk about and teach pet parents and empower them to understand how the physiology works in the body, so we don't get the toxins stuck and then they get stored or they get recirculated back into the liver, and your pet's body has to reprocess them. There's methods and frameworks that we use to help with that. It's not just a matter of just using milk thistle. It can be very helpful, but if your pet's elimination pathways aren't working, we're not binding to those toxins that they're constantly being exposed to, that they're breaking down in their body from normal cellular metabolism. Like, these are normal metabolic processes. Your pet's going to stay potentially inflamed. So for health, once again, nutrition, the foundation. Now, if you're getting like super overwhelmed, confused, make sure you register for how to find the root cause masterclass that we're doing on Monday. So February 13th at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to drop a link in the comments. So there's a registration there. And this will also show you and take you through some of these pillars of health, these foundations that are key to making sure that you don't miss something. So that way, rather than just hoping that all this money we're spending on supplements, or even if you're going back and forth to the vet, you'll have better questions to ask that veterinarian versus just taking the next drug. I'm not against conventional medicine. There is a time and a place, and we do need that still. But I find a lot of times we end up with a reactive approach versus that proactive approach. And if you're like wondering, like, what do I use for flea and tick prevention? And how do I remove some of these things? We have a lot of great free blog posts at our site, thenaturalpetdoctor.com. So make sure you check those out. Also on our YouTube channel, Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. Just do a search, fleas, it'll come up. And we have a lot of great natural resources. Now, in terms of what I see also, this is also a different viewpoint with supplements and the way we need to approach a holistic approach versus the conventional approach. So think about when you give drugs, we tend to see a response right away. It seems like things are working quickly. It's very fast acting. Say you take an ibuprofen for yourself, do not give that to your pets, for like a pain or a knee injury. A lot of times you'll feel pain relief right away. But what if, what if the pain was there because of overuse? You exercise too hard, you hurt yourself, and now we feel much better. But and you continue to like work out hard and you don't rest the body, you're going to continue to create damage. And so this is also where when we look at supplements and we look at using natural remedies and holistic healing in general, and when I say holistic, I mean WH, like whole body approach, environment, cleaning, like looking at the emotional health, the stress levels, resolving some of that, using breathing. I'm talking about yourself, breathing techniques, because your pets are absorbing all that. Whether or not you think they are or not, they're sitting there absorbing all of that energy. It is a huge emotional health pillar and blockage a lot of times of your pet's healing because we live in such a stressful world. But when we take a look at how everything is interconnected and we start healing that, resolving that, fixing that, removing the things that are creating inflammation, it takes a lot longer. The journey's a lot longer. And this is where, God bless Amazon, I love I can get something in an hour, but it's created this mindset of the lack of patience. We expect things immediately. And unfortunately, when we're giving the body the tools it needs to heal, it takes time. We have to have patience. There will be some ups and downs. And the same can happen with supplements if you're using them appropriately, right? We're not using them potentially like fill in the gaps. Yes, they can be used that way. But as long as you took that step back and went, okay, where in the foundation is the problem? So we need to shift the mindset of the time frame that it takes to heal the body. And so if you're using those supplements, it's not, well, that didn't work today. It's like, okay, this is going to take time to work and heal. And working alongside an integrative holistic veterinarian can help guide you with that because it can be hard. It can feel really frustrating. It can be really overwhelming at times. And that's what causes most people to go, screw it, right? Like, I can't do this anymore. I need to just give something to resolve it immediately. There's a time and a place, depending on the pet's quality of life. Of course, that's always most important to me. But this is why we have to shift, because otherwise you end up with the supplement graveyard. We end up with the supplements not working because we didn't give them time to help transform the body and enable it to heal, calm down that inflammation. And a lot of times these pets are really, really sensitive. I work with so many sensitive pets because they're at the end, right? We get to like years and years down the road where they're so sensitive to everything because they're so toxic. They're not digesting, they're not detoxing properly. Now we have all these food sensitivities, leaky gut, inflamed gut lining, their immune system is dysregulated. And we have to heal that slowly, very slowly, to get them back to strength so that they can take in all this important nutrients and digest their food and get their immune system regulated. Those are all very important. So if you're feeling like, I don't know where to start, does anyone here feel like I don't know where to start? And I'm seeing some comments in there. There's definitely, let's see, there's some things coming up. You guys feeling stuck? Just register for a masterclass on Monday. So that link is in the comments. Make sure that, I'm going to drop it again in the comment section for you guys. Free. There's a replay. Because you have to take that step back. And I want you to break away from the chains of like the supplements, like the quick fixes, and truly using the holistic approach, looking at how everything is interconnected and what you need to be doing to start truly healing the root imbalance for your pets. And if you want to know a little bit more on how to get started with like nutrition, we have a very popular guide. It's a free guide on how to improve your pet's food. So just go to thenaturalpetdoctor.com and you can download that free resource. So that way you can start transitioning, you can start optimizing, you can start adding some superfoods to that diet. Once again, food is medicine. Food is the foundation for health. And as Hippocrates stated thousands of years ago, all disease begins in the gut. And food is very powerful when we use the right foods for our pets. And so you're not alone. There are options out there. It's just a matter of following those frameworks and not just throwing every supplement under the sun at your pets and hoping that it works for them. So if you're ready for a change, I'm here to guide you, help you feel empowered and confident and supported, that you can help your pets have their best, healthiest year yet. Starts with the masterclass. But like I said, we have tons of other free resources at thenaturalpetdoctor.com. On our YouTube channel, we just released our interview that we did a couple weeks ago with Dr. Betsy Redmond from Innovative Pet Lab. Shout out to them. They're amazing at also identifying from functional medicine testing where those imbalances are. So if you haven't seen that video, we just released it this morning. Make sure you check it out. Our masterclass also too, Samantha, if you're referring to that, covers both dogs and cats. I'm a big fan of making sure cats get heard too. I've got 3 black cats. If you're not familiar with me, there's a couple in here with me right now, and cats aren't talked about enough. And cats are not small dogs. So we make sure that we help them too, because they deserve every ounce of help also so that they can live to be 30. You can get your dogs to 30. There's a dog that just hit the Guinness Book of World Records for, I believe it was 31 years old. It can be done, but it also comes down to those foundations and the frameworks and making sure that we're not approaching the body reactively. We're using that proactive, holistic approach. So I hope to see a lot of you on Monday, February 13th, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for our free masterclass on how to identify that root cause that may be causing your pet's health issues. If your pets are healthy, make sure you still join us, because those foundations are the same whether or not your pets are healthy or they're dealing with an illness. So that way you can take that step back. You're not missing the forest for the trees, and we're not going to get those cracks in the house because the foundation is off. So thank you so much for joining me today for our weekly coffee talk with the doc. I will see you all next Friday, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I hope to see you all also Monday afternoon for our masterclass. Otherwise, check us out at thenaturalpetdoctor.com. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. Have a great weekend. And also drop a comment. I'd love to hear what's the one thing that you can start improving with the foundations of your pets, because there's power in community. And when people see what you're doing, it inspires them to also take action and help their pets too. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.